this is one that I feel a lot of people are kind of looking at from the perspective of, well, being wrong. If I'm being honest with you, my predictions for this is that, yes, well, it says here, Marvel has a 5-year Phase 4 plan that probably doesn't include X-Men. We've been hearing a lot about this too, right? You keep hearing, oh, Marvel's got a 5-year Phase 4 plan. They're not going to announce anything until after Spider-Man Far From Home, which, by the way, is Comic-Con. Just so we know, Kevin Feige confirmed that they're going to Comic-Con. So he's going to be at Comic-Con Saturday, Hall H, to unveil the next 5 years. It's going to be a big time, and I will be there. I absolutely be there. But what I'm trying to get at here is the fact that it's absolutely ridiculous to think that X-Men will not play any part in the MCU for 5 years. I think that's ridiculous. I think that's entirely it's dumb. Maybe not like right away, but definitely before 5 years is up. It says here, after making 22 movies that tell one cohesive story while grossing almost $20 billion worldwide along the way, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige is doing the same thing all over again with a new set of toys. On April 26th, the release of Avengers Endgame will bring closure to the first 11 years of Marvel Studio films. In 2020, the company will start Phase 4 of its cinematic universe, the next chapter of the larger story with new heroes, all of which will feel the impact of the events of the past. Plus, now that Disney has acquired 20th Century Fox, those stories could potentially include X-Men. According to Feige, though, fans should not hold their breath for that. He says it will be a while. It's all just beginning in the 5-year plan that we've been working on. We're working on before any of that was set. So really, it's much more for us, for less about specifics when and where the X-Men will appear right now, and more just for the comfort factor of how nice it is that they're home, that they're all back, but it will be a very long time. See, I disagree with that. Now, it goes on here to speculate that it will start with Black Widow, the Eternals, Shang-Chi. Unfortunately, on the list of topics Feige isn't willing to talk about in depth, Phase 4 is even higher than Avengers Endgame. Two things are seemingly too closely related, and any acknowledgement of the myriad of news out there about Phase 4 could potentially ruin something in Endgame. Feige does think, though, that the new films are a worthy successor of the record-breaking first 3 phases of the MCU, saying, the slate that we're building up over the next 5 years is not apples to apples. It's two very distinct things, and I hope they will feel very distinct. But there's a similar mentality going into it, which is how can we continue to tell stories with some of the characters that audiences know and love in a unique way, in a different way, in a surprising way, of which we have a lot of plans and ideas, and we already and work already going into it. Then how can we introduce new characters that even hardcore fans, comic fans, have barely known or barely heard of? That's really exciting too. So what we have to consider about this is looking at Phase 4. What do we know? Well, originally, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was meant to kick off Phase 4, and that was probably going to tie in to the original Guardians having appeared at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Sylvester Stallone, Michelle Yeoh, even Miley Cyrus, and Michael, Trachtenbaum, whatever the guy's name, Lex Luthor. I keep forgetting his name right now, but he was in that, and they were going to talk about that. Now, that all went to crap a year ago almost, and now it's back, but it's going to be delayed. So yeah, Shang-Chi is going to be coming. The Black Widow movie is going to be coming. The Eternals is going to be coming. All of these things are going to be coming, but so is Black Panther 2, Doctor Strange 2. We know that Loki is going to be getting a Disney Plus series. We know that Scarlet Witch is going to be getting a Disney Plus series. We know that Bucky and Falcon are going to be getting a Disney Plus series. So the question then becomes, well, what about the X-Men? Will the X-Men be delayed 5 years? And a lot of people are trying to argue that Feige is going to hold off before including them, but he's just happy that they're home. What you have to remember about Kevin Feige is ultimately the dude's kind of a yes man in regards to wanting to keep everybody happy. He wants to keep everybody happy, and that's how he goes about it. But the thing to remember here, ultimately, is that Kevin Feige now has a whole litany of new toys to play with. And this whole litany of new toys has been basically right outside of his grasp for almost a year and a half now. If you recall, they announced the merger, the wanting of the merger at the end of 2017. And it wasn't until mid 2018 that they were able to kind of get the go ahead to start actively looking at developing these projects. So they probably have a lot already in the pipeline. Now we know that New Mutants is on the horizon. We know that Dark Phoenix is on the horizon. Many fans, myself included, would rather those movies not come out at all and just scrap them and start over again in order to get the MCU filled with X-Men characters even faster. A lot of us are just happy that you can now say the word mutant and not have it be a Fox-owned thing. So there's a lot of cool things that are going to be coming out of the pipeline from this, but I would figure that it's going to be very similar to what happened when they announced Phase 3. So if you recall in Phase 3's initial announcement in 2014, they talked about, well, the Inhumans movie, you know, and that ended up not happening. Other movies got shuffled around. Other movies got added to the mix. So we know that they are always they're always willing to end up shuffling around these types of films. They have no problem with that. Now, especially after Civil War situation, where Feige essentially cut ties with Ike Perlmutter, we're not going to have an Inhuman situation take place. So he has a lot more control. In fact, $20 billion between all these movies, he has all the control. I would think that Feige knows that Bob Iger dropped $71.3 billion to buy him a whole new toy box, and that Iger's going to want returns on that as soon as humanly possible. So yes, Deadpool 3, I guarantee that's already being talked about right now. X-Force might be dead, but Deadpool 3 is not. Fantastic Four, probably already in discussions, more so maybe than X-Men, but those Fox properties are going to be introduced far sooner than 5 years. And the reason why I say that is because, well, when you look at Deadpool has the potential of being a billion-dollar franchise. It really, really, really does. And I think that Disney knows that, which is the only reason why Ryan Reynolds is stuck around. Why he's sticking around and playing in the House of Mouse now. Because they know exactly what he's worth and what he can bring in. They're going to bring these characters in sooner rather than later. It's going to probably be done in a subtle way. They're not going to dump it all at once. They're going to piecemeal it out, but I wouldn't be surprised if something like Shang-Chi gets pushed a little bit further back. Something like, Black Widow, they're going to start shooting her pretty soon. They just cast some new people. That's already in active, pre-production, I think. The Eternals, again, something they've been talking about, but I think also they're going to kind of push that back as well. I think we're going to get a pushback on the Eternals. And I think we're going to get Fantastic Four first. I think we're going to get Doom as a 5-year thing. We know that the Russo brothers want Secret Wars. They've talked about that in regards to coming back to direct those kind of movies. So Secret Wars is clearly going to end up being like a 2-parter like Avengers and Infinity War was with Endgame. And I think that's where we're going to find ourselves. Look, I can entirely be wrong, and I'd be willing to admit that I am. But you don't sit there as a company and drop $72 billion almost on all of these entertainment assets, getting back all of the thousands of these characters that were gone for years, and not immediately plan to introduce them into your next phase, which is kicking off after your first big closeout. There's no reason to not do it. They want to make money. They want to start making that money back. The best thing they can do at this point is seriously integrate Fantastic Four, Deadpool, and the X-Men as soon as humanly possible. And I honestly think that Feige will.